Welcome to Real Scary, the home of true scary stories, where we bring you the most unnerving of content, from British ghost stories to the most gruesome of murders. If you are quite partial to the occasional scary story, you're in the right place. This is the story of the ghosts of Bamburgh Castle. Bamburgh Castle has long been a focal point for views of the Northumberland coast and has regularly featured in paintings, postcards and photographs. It is a Grade 1 listed building located in Northumberland, England, which is draped at the summit of a large rock along the North Sea. The castle dates back to the 11th century. However, the first reference found in relation to the castle date back to 547 AD, so it comes as no surprise that it is reported to be haunted by multiple spirits. During the 11th century, the castle was owned by Robert, Earl of Northumberland, who without forethought started a quarrel with King William II, which predictably led to the king besieging the castle, capturing the Earl and seizing the castle, which then became royal property. During the Wars of the Roses of the mid to late 15th century, the castle was occupied by the Lancastrians. However, they ultimately relinquished the castle in 1464 to the Earl of Warwick, Richard Neville, after he bombarded it with artillery until the Lancastrians eventually surrendered. Today the castle remains intact and is one of the finest in England, and is now occupied by the Armstrong family, along with the many resident ghosts, that is. The castle has both dark legends and terrifying ghost stories strongly associated with it. There have been many reports by visitors to the castle of a young woman carrying a bundle in her arms, making her way down the steep steps from the small postern gate, which is north of the clock tower. As she descends, visitors report that she stumbles and hysterically cries out during her steep fall down the narrow stairway. The young woman's fall is followed by the sound of heartless laughter coming from the top of the steps from where she fell. And upon rushing to her aid, visitors have reported that there was no sign of either the young lady or the bundle she was carrying. It is said that the ghost is of a local girl by the name of Jane Cartwright, who was sent by her impoverished family to beg for food at the castle. And after being refused any food, she was turned away by the guards. Jane, overcome with weakness from hunger, stumbled on the steps and fell to her death, along with the bundle she was carrying, whilst at the same time the castle guards stood laughing. It has transpired that the bundle she was carrying was that of her young baby, and her ghost is often referred to as Green Jane due to the striking colour of the shawl she wears. There is also many reports of a pink lady who has been reported at the castle, and records reveal that in life she was in fact a Northumbrian princess who wanted to marry her true love, a handsome man by the name of Lawrence. However, her father strongly disapproved and deemed Lawrence unworthy of his daughter, and so sent the unfortunate suitor overseas and forbade the couple to exchange messages in the hope his daughter's passion for Lawrence would cool. But the king's daughter became more and more consumed with depression. and so in a last attempt to persuade his daughter to give up on the man she loved, he told her that his spies had sadly discovered that Lawrence had fallen in love with and married another woman. To cheer her up from her understandable melancholy, the king ordered the castle's seamstresses to urgently make the finest dress in his daughter's favourite colour, pink, in the hope this would improve her mood. However, in a state of depression, the princess donned the beautiful pink dress, climbed to the highest battlements, and threw herself to her death on the rocks below. Shortly afterwards, Lawrence returned from exile, still unmarried, and was heartbroken upon hearing the news of what had happened to the woman he loved. Legend, unfortunately, does not record what fate befell poor Lawrence. There have been many reports of the princess's mournful return, clothed in a dress of beautiful pink, wandering through the corridors of the oldest section of the castle before drifting down the rocky path leading to the beach. And here she stands, in all weathers, gazing out to sea, forever awaiting the return of the man she loved and lost. There is a myriad of reported sightings at the castle. However, I will concentrate on the most recurring, and there are many reports of an angry, armour-clad, spectral knight that witness reports state appears both inside and on the grounds of the castle, where he stomps and shouts, whilst at the same time loudly rattles chains.
You have to stay here with us.
The dunes around the castle have a lot of dark stories associated with them, as well as having a very gruesome history. In the days when the castle was used predominantly for defence, many witch covens lived amongst the dunes, and the witches preyed upon the vulnerable before killing them and setting their bodies on fire, with the exception of their hands. And interestingly, during the filming of Roman Polanski's version of Macbeth, many of the actors saw hands crawling through the dunes, but originally thought it was just part of the special effects. However, they later learned that this was not part of the special effects at all. A school trip to the castle in 1988 included the children linking hands as they walked along the beach, and one young girl at the back turned to see whose hand she was holding and was terrified to find it was the hacked off human hand attached to no one. The hand subsequently vanished when the girls began screaming. The said girl in question was subject to several months of therapy after her terrifying experience. Dark shadows resembling people are often reported moving amongst the dunes below the castle, and these sightings are said to be on a burial site that dates back 1,500 years. The burial site is said to be Christian, although it is possible that it is in fact pagan, and which was recently identified in the sand dunes by archaeologists. Other paranormal encounters including sightings of a World War I soldier, several misty or shadowy figures appearing in different parts of the castle, hearing whispers, footsteps and other unexplained noises, and also reports of visitors being touched by invisible hands. Conclusion. Bamburgh Castle is an absolutely breathtaking and perfectly preserved building in a remarkably beautiful part of England that everyone who can should visit. However, if your visit is during the darker hours, I would advise that you keep your eyes and ears on heightened alert. Thank you for joining me in our latest edition of Scary Stories. I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did enjoy, I would ask that you like, share and subscribe. And until our next unannounced rendezvous, as always, be safe and sweet dreams.